Senator Warren.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Marcus, if confirmed, you would be responsible for protecting the civil rights of American students at a time when Nazis and white supremacists are marching across college campuses with tiki torches, and many young people are literally afraid to go to school because of the hateful climate that has been fostered by Donald Trump. If confirmed, will you commit to fully enforcing civil rights laws and protecting all students from discrimination and harassment?
Yes.
Good. So I just want to find out a little more detail about what that commitment means to you, and I thought we might go through a few fact situations. So let's start with an easy one. Say there's a school district that has some mostly white schools and some mostly black schools, and let's say that the mostly black schools have less experienced teachers, teachers with fewer qualifications. Those schools have fewer books, they have fewer computers in the library, fewer AP courses available. By any objective measure, those schools have clearly been shortchanged. If confirmed, would your office step in to protect the civil rights of that district's black students?
If I were confirmed, I would ensure that any complaints alleging violation of Title VI would be
Mr. Marcus,
reviewed.
I don't want to start a dance here. This is a set of facts. They come to you in your position if you are confirmed. And my question is, are those facts adequate? Will you step in to protect the civil rights of the district's black students?
Senator, I would certainly hope to be able to provide protection for the civil rights of those black students to the extent possible under law.
But that's the question I'm asking, how you see this. You're allowed to answer hypotheticals here, so this one should be easy, a yes or a no. Would you step in on those facts or not?
I appreciate that, Senator, but unfortunately, in my experience, the cases that OCR deals with are much more complicated than...
So you don't think that's enough evidence, what I've just said?
I think I would need to look at it very carefully.
Mr. Marcus, we have to move on, but I actually started with an easy one. Last year, the Office of Civil Rights investigated exactly that situation in Toledo, Ohio, and it forced the school district to ensure that students have equal resources. That's the job of the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Education, the job that you are asking for here. So let me try another one. Given the climate of fear and uncertainty that Donald Trump has created for Dreamers, if a school said, we're happy to enroll all 5-year-olds in kindergarten, but kids who can't prove that they are citizens will be barred at the door, would your office step in to protect the civil rights of those students from discrimination?
Well, to my ear, Senator, that sounds like a violation of law, but I don't know whether it would be a violation of one of the laws over which OCR has jurisdiction. There are certain rules here that would fall under the Equal Protection Clause. We would step in if I were confirmed if there is a violation of one of OCR's statutes.
So I'm a little surprised to hear you split it that way. The Supreme Court ruled in Plyer versus Doe that this type of discrimination would clearly be an unconstitutional violation of the 14th Amendment. Are you saying that your office wouldn't step in to enforce that?
Well, Senator, I suppose there's a question about the jurisdiction of the Department of Education to deal with issues under the Equal Protection Clause, but generally speaking, the Office for Civil Rights has jurisdiction over statutes like Title VI, but has not, to my knowledge, been granted the authority to enforce the Equal Protection Clause per se.
I'm shocked by that answer. The job that you are applying for here is to enforce civil rights protections and to be the advocate in the Department of Education for exactly that job. And you can say, if you think you need help from the Department of Justice in that, it would be a perfectly reasonable answer to say, I'll bring in the Department of Justice and we'll work together on this. But the idea that you would, what I'm hearing you say is, I would take a pass on this, or might take a pass, gives me a great deal of concern. You know, I've just given you 2 hypotheticals. I'm going to do more in writing. I want to be respectful of the time here. But I don't think we need someone in this position whose view of civil rights enforcement is to do as little as possible to protect as few students as possible. I think that would be bad for students overall, and with Betsy DeVos as Secretary of Education, I think it would be even worse. So thank you, Madam Chairman, or Chairwoman.
Did you want to respond, Mr. Marcus?
If I may, Madam Chair, thank
Yes.
you. Thank you, Senator Warren, for those questions, and I would like to clarify, because if confirmed, my position would be the opposite. My position would be that I would want to ensure that the Office for Civil Rights enforces civil rights laws to the maximum extent permissible within the law. Now, in the hypothetical that you mentioned, it seems to me that there may or may not be a situation in which the Department of Justice has a role in these. That would not be my call. It is my understanding that when the Department of Education interacts with the Department of Justice, it is typically through the Office of General Counsel. Now, if the Office of General Counsel had an issue with justice that pertains to civil rights, I would certainly be pleased to work with colleagues to sort out what the appropriate steps should be.
So if I could, just for a few seconds, and I recognize we're over time here, Madam Chair, but this is my concern. These positions are positions of judgment. And what we're really looking for is, what is your inclination here? Is your inclination to say, I want to go in, I want to raise this set of issues, and ultimately to say, I'm willing, I recognize a court may have to decide this at some point, but I see my job as to act on behalf of the students. I've given you two cases that I think legally are quite clear. And what I'm hearing from you is that you're tepid on this, and that just gives me concern in this space, and I should quit. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank